Hello everyone, welcome back. Fubar here, and today we are doing an exciting video request from Moonface. He requested directly from from YouTube for me to make this video. So here we are. Today we are doing everything about infantry. But before we start talking about infantry, all right, I want to give you guys all a special thanks and a huge shout out to every single one of my subscribers on the channel. We have hit 1,000 subs, and I am super excited about that. Thank you guys for supporting me. Can't believe we made it here. It took us 9 months, and it has been an absolute amazing trip. I appreciate every single one of you guys. So thank you. Okay. So infantry actually holds a special place in my heart because I was Army Infantry when I was in the service. I was 11 Bravo, and yeah, it's kind of like a little bit of nostalgia. Now, in my opinion, infantry within Warpath has for a long time been a running joke. And only within recent updates has infantry actually become a force to be reckoned with. But I want you guys to try changing your view on infantry because a lot of people are absolutely saying, hey, it needs to be adjusted, it needs to be nerfed. And yes, it does. But the primary purpose of infantry in Warpath is actually to be more of a support role in my eyes because of the cover effect. And we will get more into that later in the video. And I'll also introduce what I think is my favorite infantry out of all three. Okay? So to start it off, right? Infantry of Martyrs is the most durable unit out of all the infantry units, but it also has the least amount of damage. All infantry share two things in common. They have bunker mode, and they also have first aid. First aid is like Spanner's passive heal. Whenever you're not in combat, they're going to recover their health, and that way they can get right back into the fight after. Bunker mode is pretty much a damage. It turns your infantry troop into a fortification, and then it also provides a buff to any allied ground troops within 2 map grids, reducing the damage they take up to 12%, but it's stacked at 3% right there. Now, as you can see right here, the Martyr Camp has a strong physique camp bonus, which is higher HP, lower firepower. And they actually have enhanced bunkers, which means they actually have a higher damage resist when in bunker mode. Okay. I personally use Liberty Infantry. Now, Liberty Infantry to me is the jack of all trades. So they still have the first aid skill, they still have the bunker skill, but they have the balance skill. So that means they have equal firepower, equal HP, and it's more balanced than the other two camps. And Liberty Infantry actually does extremely well on the battlefield with dealing out damage in comparison to the Martyrs. Okay. Now, the one big difference between the Martyrs, Vanguard, and Liberty Infantry is the only camp that actually has an animation of them throwing out a smoke bomb. And what the smoke bomb does is it actually resets the load time on the selected unit that you are targeting. Now, this is very useful because it also applies on base defense. When your infantry is garrisoned, they will still throw this smoke bomb out, and that will reset the load time. And depending on the unit you're hitting, it could be very life-saving and continue for you in the base defense. Because if you smoke bomb an artillery, now that's a 4-second reload, and that's a pretty significant deal. On to Vanguard. Vanguard, like before, oh, my bad. Like before, they have bunkers and first aid, but the biggest difference is two things. They have the least amount of HP amongst all the other camps, which Liberty and Martyrs. I'm sorry, I made that seem like there was more than 2 other camps. My bad. And they also have the skill Tank Killer. Now, I do apologize for the noise in the background. If you're hearing it, that's my NOS can. It's expanding. I don't know why. But Tank Killer, it deals more damage to armored units, like your light tank, your SH, your MBT, your heli. These units will take more damage from Vanguard infantry than from the other camps. And that is the major difference. Other than that, each each infantry unit gives off a cover effect, okay? Now, the primary cover effect for the Liberty infantry is the smoke bomb. So that skill reset time is, I mean, not the skill reset, the reset time for that is what that cover effect is. However, if you look at modders, they actually increase the damage resist of allied troops by an additional 1% down below. Also, Vanguard, when you hit the Forlorn Hope, actually increases the firepower of allied troops by 3%. So that is why I'm saying these are more of a support unit, because they provide support effects to help you stay in the fight longer. However, as you see in Legendary 1 battlefields, Gold 1, Gold 2, Gold 3, and all the way through, a lot of people are performing AGs and just going in and doing that with just only infantry. But I actually encourage you guys to do mixed army groups with these, especially after patch 9.1, because we're going to have that coordinated march. And that means that all troops travel at the same speed. And this will be very beneficial for you to actually gain additional buffs for the infantry for the troops in there because of the infantry. Also note, infantry is amazing when you have to do the campaign mode. The campaign mode, there's numerous times where you have to kill a large amount of SH units, and it's very hard to find a solid tanking unit to take out these SHs, and that it would be the infantry. I swear to God, infantry do so well against the SH in campaign mode. It is an absolute lifesaver. So if you're stuck on campaign mode, you may need to or want to try out the infantry there to help you get past that level. Now, another fun fact about infantry is that they are not immortal. They're actually kind of squishy, all right? So when they're in bunker mode, they have this huge amount of damage resist, but they are still weak to blast damage resist. And now, as you can see right here, I use Liberty Infantry. The Liberty Infantry is a very solid unit because it's the jack of all trades, but the way in the because I've only had this infantry unit for one L4, and I played with it for the majority of that L4 to learn how the new infantry operate. The primary ways I was killed while using infantry was, one, an AG would surround my infantry, so that way now I cannot escape, and then a howitzer or an RL will roll up onto it. And then they would just, because now I can't escape, and then they're out of range, I can't fight back. Another way was if it was an overwhelming AG group around my infantry, then I could not fight back that effectively as well. But I usually had a pretty good trade as far as kills and deaths, so that was pretty okay. Another thing is that infantry do extremely well at taking out artillery if you can get to them before their load time gets off. The major thing about infantry is if you are moving your infantry like so, and they're in troop mode and not in bunker mode, they die rapidly. Rapidly. However, infantry is so potent that I can sit here with this at this level 9 bunker, and yes, I have a higher level infantry, and yes, I know all my units are 8.1, and I'll explain that in a later video. But as you can see right here, 8.1, 16.6 million, and I'm going to be able to take out this entire bunker and all its troops without losing a single infantry unit at all. Not a single life. And that's pretty good, because in comparison to the old infantry in the original, like from beta all the way up to and sometimes, and even past modern units, only within the most recent patches, infantry would not be able to do this. It would absolutely die and get wrecked all the way through. Now, as you can see right here, I will have to move my infantry unit to actually block this. And as you can see, they still take damage from a higher part, but that is primarily pretty damn good for that level. Now, as you can see right there, that was the first aid going off with the infantry glowing green like that. Now, I said I would mention my favorite infantry unit, and my favorite infantry unit has to be the Liberty. It has to be the Liberty. The reason why is that smoke bomb. It's so potent, it's so good, and where my account is more aimed for field fighting and base defense and field support, that smoke bomb becomes invaluable. It's good on base defense. It helps when I'm in rallies because I'm already getting that damage resist whenever I'm in bunker mode for my allied troops. But now I'm also throwing that smoke bomb, stunning a troop from them attacking, so we get the upper hand in combat and can deal more damage. So that's why this is my favorite. Now I'm going to give you guys two officer pairings. I'm going to show you the one I'm running right now, and it's only because I don't have enough officers being awakened for me to use properly. So I have White Wolf as an aide, and I have Golden Eagle as my primary because, one, White Wolf is not level 60, so I wanted to have that level 60 buff. And this is actually pretty potent, but it's only really effective in a 1v1 scenario. But I'm going to show you an even better combination, in my opinion. Now, I can't take credit for this. This is from H's game. He's the original discoverer of it, and he's the original one who figured it out. So I will show that there. And I'm also sorry for the notifications popping up. I do apologize. So we're going to go with White Wolf and actually Lonesome Star. And the reason why is because of the AoE damage. The AoE damage is ridiculous with these guys. So we're going to not start with Lonesome Star. We're going to go look at White Wolf, and I'm going to give you guys the example from her. All right, as you can see right here, her Awakened skill actually just buffs her tactical skill. She tosses anti-armor grenades, and the grenades deal a damage coefficient of 1200, and 30% of that damage goes to a random enemy within 2 map grids. If this officer is in an infantry unit, the skill then deals 25% extra damage. So that's pretty good. That is pretty damn potent. Keep in mind her second skill actually increases it does a damage buff increase. Her third skill gives her a firepower buff of 30%, and she actually gets a bunker damage resist coefficient of 15% on her fourth skill. Now, if we go down to Lonesome Star, this is where things are going to start getting interesting. 1500 damage coefficient with a secondary damage coefficient of 750. Pretty much what happens if he's in an infantry troop, he starts throwing landmines around him, and they have a 50% chance to detonate and to hit enemy troops within 2 map grids up to 3 enemy units. His second skill gives him a 500 shield coefficient for 2 seconds, and it can be triggered every 8 seconds. And this has a 30% chance every time this infantry unit is attacked. Now, he also offers a 25% HP and a 20% blast damage resist buff on his third skill. And his fourth skill is very valuable. He actually gives if he's in an infantry troop, all officers in the infantry troop provide a skill damage buff of 30%. So that is even larger. So let me explain. You're going to, with the extra damage buff from White Wolf by 25%, that is effectively increasing her damage coefficient. So that is going to bring her damage coefficient up to 1500. Now with an extra 30%, that's bringing that up to roughly, I want to say, 1800 1900. And the same goes for Lonesome Star. He will also get this buff. And now that's 1900 plus the 750. So if you actually divide that by 4, that's going to be like right around 900 to 1000 additional damage coefficient towards the enemy troops. But his best skill is his passive skill, Bloody Veteran, when you awaken him, and that is infantry take 10% less skill damage, and while they're in bunker mode, allied troops actually get an additional buff of receiving 2% less incoming damage. Now, I said that I will have a second pairing for you guys to try out, and that is Lonesome Star with Everbloom. Now, the reason why is Everbloom is amazing because of her. She's the only infantry officer with a shield, and that shield goes up because she's in an infantry unit. So that shield goes from 1500, right, to, I want to say, right around 1800 shield coefficient. She provides a 30% skill damage reduction. Now, if you combine that with Lonesome Star's Awakened skill, Bloody Veteran, now that's 40%. And then you also get an additional 50% blast damage resist. So that's at 70%. And she also provides an HP buff of 10%. So that brings you up to about 30% additional HP. Now, their Climat Resistance, as I like to call it, whenever this officer infantry troop enters combat, increases the firepower of this officer's troop and up to 2 nearby friendly troops firepower by 10% for 15 seconds. That's a pretty significant deal because now this turns from just being a defensive officer to a defensive buffing officer. Now, her Awakened skill is another passive skill for Live. It's called Live Another Day, and it increases the damage resistance of this officer's infantry by 10%. And for every 10% HP they lose, their damage resist is increased by an extra 5%, up to 20%. So that means once you hit 80% health with Everbloom deployed on your infantry, now you actually are going to be doing, you're actually going to have an extra 20% damage resist, and that is very massive. And now, if I was going to run infantry as for base to base, I'd run Everbloom, and I would actually probably use her with either Steel Fighter or Angel of Light. Sorry, it took me a little bit to find Angel of Light. Reason why Angel of Light, she's the Spanner version of, she's the version of Spanner but for infantry. So she heals with a healing coefficient of 500, additional healing by 25% if she's in an infantry troop. She increases the damage resist by 15%. She increases the HP by 30%. And she also increases the blast damage resist buff by an additional 50%. So that means you would have 100% blast damage resist before skill tabs. And also, her passive skill, when this officer's infantry troop is attacked by a skill, there's a 75% chance to reduce the damage taken by 35%. This can be triggered one time every 5 seconds. So that is a very valuable skill when it would come to tanking bases. And this is why I would recommend her with Everbloom. Either Steel Fighter or with Everbloom or Angel of Light. That's who I would do. Reason for Steel Fighter is majority-wise is because of the 2000 shield coefficient you would actually gain from that. Okay? So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you again, Moonface, for requesting the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Alright? If you guys have any questions, right, Put them down in the comment section below. Tell me what you think of my officer pairings. If you think you got a better officer pairing for infantry, leave it down in the comment section below. Also, if you want, you can actually get a hold of me in 2 different Discords, Warpath Lounge and also Fubar's Lounge. Those links will be posted into the description down below. I hope you guys have an amazing day or night. This is Fubar. I got your 6. Peace.